The Lego Zuka has shot you in the face. That means it's time for some zmoT, also known as a non-moose. We're going to be doing some hodgepodging of hits is the best way I can describe it. This is in Junior 9. We have 2 spots available at the moment, I believe, doing curtain call. Like, our low-level task force is doing curtain call. That's why Javanese is blocked off. The whole plan there is do the rest of the bases, then if we have enough hits, we'll go back and get that. As you can see, we've been doing choke point, so stepping up to curtain call, we've been successful, what's that, 4 times out of 5? 1, 2? Anyways, you get the idea. So depending on intel, alternating between, we've got a spot for you. Check out the description. Between XP 40 and 50, there is room for learning statues, changing, all of those kind of things. I'm going to start out with an operation attack, then we're going to do some other stuff and some warships and some PvP, and I'll show you something that's kind of different and neat that you may have already seen before. Nonetheless, I'm going to start with Minotaur. Now, Minotaur, there are rocket launchers on the left. All of the mines are here. There are still a rocket launcher. Yes, plurals and singulars are hard when they get mixed up. Anyways, we're going to try and clean this up a little bit, make things a little bit more simple. And how we're going to do that is by using Everspark and then using some Zukas and then using some Rainmakers. Why Rainmakers, you ask? We've got them. We might as well use them. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, drop Everspark right about there. Then we're going to push the button and we're going to flare the shock launcher. Should be able to get there, I'm hoping, in 2 smokes. Then she's going to pop her head out, and then we're going to throw a smoke on top of her. Boom. That's called the Houdini. It is somewhat dangerous, but it is incredibly useful and fun because you save a smoke in the process. And now what we're going to do is we're going to walk her way over here, and we're going to hopefully double hack those 2 rocket launchers. Now, we've damaged the rocket launcher in front of us. Nothing else is terribly damaged that I can see, so we should be safe to double hack here. Hopefully I don't screw this up because it would really suck. There we go. Doom Cannon. The Doom Cannon is going to be incredibly useful. You see that Doom Cannon just damaging things like a crazy. Doom cannons in range when you're hacking is incredibly useful. Now, the next bit, what I'm going to do here is go a little bit towards the crazy bit. What we're going to do is we're going to drop 1 boat of Zukas, and I'm going to... Oh no, hopefully they can get underneath. Okay, so that smoke was far too low. I definitely screwed that one up. Thankfully, we have 2 boats of Zukas that we can do that with. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my Zukas right into this spot right here. I'm going to try to wrap them inside the blind spot of that mortar. And they should also be in the blind spot of that rocket launcher if all goes according to plan. So only needed the 1 smoke if I did things properly, but I screwed up to start with. So now we've got the rocket launcher down. Getting rid of the rocket launcher means that we now can drop our Rainmakers, and the person, as you can see there, the next person who attacks the base doesn't have to use smokes at shore, which is going to save them probably 4, 5, 6 smokes, something like that, which is going to be the difference between 4 shocks and 5 shocks, or 5 shocks and 6 shocks, or whatever it might be. So it is fairly critical. The next step that we need to do is clear all of these mines in here, because clearing those mines is going to save them GBE as well. The thing about doing a setup attack is you need to understand what the core hit is. So I definitely understand this core hit. We're going to open it up so they have the option of doing the bullet shock hit as well. Not sure if that's the best policy here or not, but this way the core hitter has the option. So if you are a low level, I highly recommend you watch what happens on core hits, how those core hits happen, and then that way you can be most useful to your task force. So what we just did, we saved them a shock on the left-hand side, we saved some gunboat energy with that shock launcher, and we saved them some gunboat energy so they can actually get to the core with as few smokes as possible without having to use artillery and barrage. So now, this is probably a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, still a 6 shock core hit, maybe, simply because of that Doom Cannon. Probably could throw some critters to distract it, but 5 shocks is a lot of gunboat energy. That's 85 gunboat energy right there. Plus, they're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 6 smokes, 3, 4 flares. So starting to get expensive. The farther back we can push this first smoke, the better our teammates are going to do. That's why we were getting rid of this mortar on the left-hand side. We're also getting rid of some boom cannons. Just trying to make things as simple as we can for our teammates. And as a low level, I can't stress that enough. Just watch the core hits, understand the core hits. You don't have to know how to do them. Like, as you saw there, nothing I did here was super duper difficult as far as skills required, but we definitely set it up so someone who has those skills, has a higher level account, has more powder, whatever you want to define it as, can take this base down. So that is goal number 1 for the low level account. So with that in mind, we're now going to pause. I'll come back with a higher level account. Basically what I'm waiting for is my second op to start. I'm going to pause this video. We will come back when that's done, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, we're back on the zmoT namesake account. As you can see here, I've got Scorchers and Rainmakers loaded. There's a reason for that. We've got Scorcher Life Leech, and I figured, you know what, let's give it a shot. And it turns out you can just drop your troops, close the game, and come back, and you've beat the base. So I figured I would show you that. The other thing is, it allows us to use a reasonable hero. I don't like using Kavan. Sparky stays in front of Rainmaker, so she ends up dying. By throwing in Scorchers, you can use whatever the heck hero you want, and that turns out I want to use Brick because Rainmakers are slow, so that's what we're going to use. But before we get into that, for those of you who know how NPCs work, you get an NPC, you find it right there, you click the destroy button, and it goes away. Now, this NPC right here, you see, doesn't have a destroy button. There is 1 or 2 islands that, if you look, are not actually part of the tribes. It happens very, very rarely, but right in, actually, you know what, let's just lock one of these tribes in place here so that you can see it is not inside the tribes. So, and by the way, if you've never locked a tribe in, all you have to do is highlight the tribe, then click a different island, and boom, it's locked in place and is visible even when you zoom out and things like that. Looks kind of neat because it gets it a little bit brighter. Nonetheless, not inside the tribal area. So we actually have to attack an NPC base. And I haven't attacked an NPC base in years. Like, there's one NPC base that I attack. I think it's called like Caltrops or something like that. It's the one where it has like 500 different buildings. And the reason why I attack that one is because it has 500 different buildings. And if you know how Power Stone chance works, you get, I believe it's 1.8% of a chance of a stone per building or something along those lines. So if there are a lot of buildings, there's actually an advantage to attacking. There now a lot of buildings are not on this one. I think this one has something like 55 buildings or something, and 55 is about the break even, so attacking Calamari isn't the worst thing. By the way, look at these Scorchers just life leeching like crazy, losing 0 troops, Brick speeding things along. Does this troop combo make a lot of sense? No, but it works, so I figured I'd show it to you just because it's somewhat of an alternative to Rainmakers. Rainmakers are great, but they're slow, so by mixing in some Scorchers, you end up speeding things up, and also it allows you to mix in Brick, who also helps you to speed things up. Let's drop all of these things over here. This person has 2 shock blasters and a doom cannon, so we're going to go over to this right hand side, and then eventually we're going to throw a shock there, and then we're going to use some gunboat energy over here, and hopefully we can get rid of one of those shock blasters, because if not, we're probably going to have a little bit more difficulty than if we don't. So now our Scorchers are just burning forwards. We're going to use Brick and battle orders, and our Rainmakers are going to make it rain, and our Scorchers are going to self-heal, and we've just got magic happening. Let's throw a shock on top of that shock blaster and boom cannon. Now, I have instant training, so I really, really don't care about losing troops. If you don't have instant training, you'd want to be far more careful than I'm being. As you can see here, though, this is going to clear up this entire right-hand side for us, which is all I really care about with Rainmakers. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to get every single thing down or anything like that. All we care about, and by the way, look at them just absolutely destroying our own critters, which is not super advisable. But at the same time, we've now got Rainmakers making it absolutely rain on that headquarters. They're also going to take out that rocket launcher, and Bob is your uncle, the base is done, and all of that sort of stuff. So Definitely not a perfect troop combo, as I don't have troop health, so everything is a little bit more difficult, except for operation attacks when you don't have troop health. So my Scorchers blew up fairly quickly. They did not do a ton of life leeching, but as you can see here, the Rainmakers are in fact keeping the rain coming. Now watch this. You see how they actually change targets? That is because the flare ran out. So suddenly they start shooting at flamethrowers instead. So you need to keep those flares going. It's a little bit difficult, a little bit frustrating when you don't know what the heck is going on, when your Rainmakers are shooting at random things when you've already told them to shoot at the headquarters, but they, as soon as they have ADHD or ADD or ADHD or whatever it's called, and they haven't taken their drugs today, so they're just, as soon as something else shiny comes up, they forget all about what they're supposed to be doing, and they start watching television instead, or whatever the heck it is. Anyways, Bruno goes down. We gave him some intel. We gave him some diamonds. More importantly, we sped things up a little bit. Potentially, realistically, I would still be using Zukas and or Warriors to clear my map, but Rainmakers are here. Speaking of Rainmakers, if you did not see my tweet yesterday, check this attack out. Where is the zmoT account? This is me attacking Centaur. You've probably already seen this. I've showed you this on Minotaur versus Forlorn Hope. This is the exact definition of what Rainmakers were designed to do. And thankfully, when I put this on Twitter, it turned into a perfect loop. I love perfect loops. For those of you who aren't aware, a perfect loop is a GIF or a GIF, depending how you want to say that word, that repeats over and over and over again, that you can't tell the beginning or the end. It just goes on forever and ever. It loops, you could say. Anyways, the Rainmakers shooting over that gap is just a magical, magical sight, and I highly recommend you give it a shot, whether you're doing Centaur or Minotaur. Also, someone pointed out you can zoom out. I think it was Kirk. Never mind, it was Kirk. He wasn't sure if you could always zoom out this far, but you can see way over here there's a warehouse over to the left with some shipping crates, and they've got a crane there and some landing strips or some boat parking spots, and then we've got some boats and some crates over here and things like that. So even back there, man, there is so much going on with the Blackguard. And they've got a train. I've never noticed a train back there before. Nonetheless, Warships, Boom Beach, Rainmakers, NPCs, all of the things. The operation here is 16 minutes away, so let's get into some Warships, show you where I'm sitting. I'm not guaranteeing we're going to do 16 minutes of Warships. I don't think I have the patience for that, but we do have 2 chests that we can get, so let's get into it. As you can see here, I've got 4, 5 engine rooms, and I've got a couple keys that I want to spend. I want to get rocket launchers next. I think that was my next strategy. No, it was shock mines. Shock mines is next on my list. So let's get going. I'm still clinging, absolutely clinging to Seekers and still managing to pull off some wins. I'm just so impatient when it comes to Seekers, which ends up being my downfall. We've got 1, 2 engine rooms there, 2 engine rooms there. These ones look very, very easy to get. So what I'm going to do is they don't have any shock launchers. That's magical. Okay, so we're going to switch troops. Again, switching to make sure that Bullet has the right ability chosen. Probably want to send Bullet for this engine room right here. That way the shock blaster is not going to be a pain. And we can get all the rest of our stuff going over here. We're going to go 1, 2, 1 over here. And then we're going to flare Bullet to that engine room, and then dropping all of this stuff. Using our barrage to get rid of mines. Don't worry about getting Bullet alive or doing anything like that. Just get rid of mines, and then the rest will follow. These critter dudes, these Seekers, I always forget what the heck I'm supposed to be calling them, will get rid of everything. No concerns there whatsoever. Let's just throw some barrages onto this engine room. That way we can hopefully get down that last engine room. And for the first time in a long, long time, I actually had a successful attack on this account. This account comes off as cursed, and I think the reason for that was I was way, way overusing barrage. So slowing down barrage has made a huge difference, has made my attacks better. And now Shone is going down, and we're going to win using the... Is this an all heavies attack? It is. I have not seen a heavy rush in a long, long time. And they're actually flaring the flamethrower? That just seems strange. So this person not gonna win for obvious reasons, but at the same time, at least they're gonna hopefully, on their sake, get rid of all of the engine rooms. And good game shown. Just shows that I am too low in. I'm still at 16. My other account with 4 engine rooms is 19, bordering on 20, and this one with 5 engine rooms is far, far lower. So definitely need to pull up my pants here. How many attacks have I done here? Let's have a quick look. There's probably a better way. When you're 7th in the task force, that's not super duper good. 168 attacks. I've seen that some people are up in the 600 range. 600. Let's have a look and see how many. You know what? Philosopher King. I know who that person is. So let's have a look and see what your Philosopher King. 424. Not bad. Let's see what number 1 is sitting at in our task force. Crookshanks kicking butt. The hot chick in the task force. 177. Okay, so let's go back and see what Alex has got. Warships 556. That is a lot of attacks. So well done for you. I think it was Alex, I think their name was. I just don't have it in me. Warships just drains me so much. There's so much time invested in it, and it just drains me to no end. So wish I had the staying power to, is that the right word I'm looking for, to do it, but I just can't do it. So we're going to draw like this. We're going to go 1, 2, and then we're going to drop some more over into here and then over into here. We're going to get our wonderful Mr. Bullet running something like this, shocking, getting rid of some of those mines, and then more shocks. And then they should be able, in theory, to run up and close to here. Then we'll get a shock here, get all of this stuff down as fast as we possibly can. And we need one more shock in a second just to keep that Doom Cannon from ruining our party, and then barraging all of the things, and 2 successful attacks in a row. Whew, it's like Christmas. I can't stress enough how terribly cursed this account is. I will not be showing you any of my 4 engine room attacks today, simply because I've gone 2 for 2, and I don't want to jinx it worse than I've already done it. So we are going to get the win. This is just showing that I am far too low in the tiers, because we're going against people who are just trying to walk my base. So with Seekers, using gunboat energy to clear mines is critical. You're going to win as long as you have a half decent attack. And as you can see, people are just realizing that clearing the entire base, every single building. I wish they would go and get rid of my flamethrower and my mortar. They might actually do it. They are going to do it. Awesome. So they're going to take out every single one of my buildings. Don't attack. There we go. What I would do if I was them is I would barrage the mines. Just get rid of all the mines. You might as well save the core at this point, Xander. Xander with a Z instead of an X. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Should Xander have an X or a Z? I think I have a friend whose son's name's Xander with an X. Anyways, let's keep moving forward. See, I don't think we can go the whole way without screwing up. It's basically guaranteed. Now, there is a tiny hole there, as you can see, where Bullet can get to that back corner. I love it when people have sky shields and you can just hit that pixel perfect flare or shock. Those kind of things make me happier than they definitely should. What we're going to do here is figure out how to attack this for starters. We're going to get Bullet. What I also like to do sometimes is I like to send Bullet on a bit of a hunt and hopefully get him to taunt his way into victory. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop him there. We're going to drop them over there. Then we're going to go smoke, and we're going to get, as soon as Bullet gets somewhere close in there, I'm going to hit the taunt button, and that should be enough to get us into those right-hand side engine rooms. You see how we're using taunt to get all of our troops and things where we need them to be? It can be absolutely magical as long as you do it somewhat properly. I have not done it properly on these back engine rooms. So that shock launcher is doing bad things to us, but hopefully we can get this last engine room down before we turn it into a complete and utter failure. 3 successful attacks in a row, 2 different strategies, different hero abilities even. So Seekers are viable at the 5 engine room level. I think this person had 5 engine rooms. I'm not actually even sure, but it is viable. You just have to be a little bit careful for sure. And as you can see, people are just trying to clear my base, and I don't even have any defenses really. I don't have any of the choice nodes. I don't have rocket launchers. So this person probably could have taken me out with critters, but other people with 5 engine rooms have way harder bases. And I find that people don't, they kind of like get stuck in this, oh, this is my 5 engine room mindset. So kind of like I'm stuck in my, this is my seeker mindset. So try and change your attacks per base, reconsider your troops per base, and you're going to have far better luck. Let's do one more, get that last chest, and hopefully not screw this thing up, because we're on a 3-game win streak. I have got a 3-game YouTube good streak, which is very rare, I have to say. Let's keep going, see if we can take down question mark. Once more, there's a tiny little spot where Bullet can stand. We're not gonna count on that though. That would be a very bad idea. What I'm gonna do instead is just throw Bullet out here for the wolves, and then we're gonna drop all of our troops over in here. And we're going to flare up in that general vicinity, clearing some mines over here for our critters, also clearing some mines back here for, they're not critters, they are actually seekers, and I completely and utterly forgot their name. Now let's get a shock on those flamethrowers. Just so close to not having enough gunboat energy. That was incredibly close, and hopefully we can get this last engine room down. We did it, folks. We did it. By using barrage only to clear mines, I managed to have 4 successful attacks in a row, which is unheard of on the zmoT account. Barrage can be such a distraction, and it can be this huge, weird thing that makes you lose even though it shouldn't. And now we're going to pull out 4 wins in a row. Granted, we're only at 16th tier, but still, for me, that is going to be a huge win. Now that we've pulled out the victory, and you guys can see that the victory is coming. See, look at that. Loss. Just not good on my part at all. What we're going to do is come back in here, check the operation attack timer. We're still 7 minutes away, so I'm going to pause right there. We'll be back. We've done an NPC base. We've done a PvP base. We've done a Warships attack. We've done an operation attack. Then we're going to finish with one more operation attack. I can't promise that I'll use Rainmakers, but I can promise I'm going to try. I'll be back in just a second or two. Don't you worry. Back in a sec. We are back. The operation has started. My screen is flickering. What we're going to do here is have a look. This, as you can see by Mr. Perrins, the bossiest of Perrins. He's the leader. He's not actually bossy. Fantastic person. Great dude. Now that I have to backtrack a little bit, we're going to look and see what we can do as things progress. So ballast, you know I love to do ballast. Go left, mark this rocket launcher, do a hack and some fancy tricks. We're not going to do that today. I really love doing sliding block. Going left, barraging that rocket right there, using bullet and taunt and stuff. So that is high on the list for sure. Duality feels like it might be the answer though. You know what? We're going to do duality. I'm going to try my best to solo this. We're not allowed to boost. As I said, this task force Delta 9, by the way, I think we have a spare spot. Let's just put this into there so that people don't attack. Well, I'm loading, and then we will go like this. I'm going to try for the Rainmaker solo. Duality looks difficult, but Rainmakers outrange everything. We're going to mix in some Bombardiers, I think, is probably the best bet, because otherwise I don't think we're going to have quite enough damage to get to the core. Let's have a quick look one more time, see what needs to happen. So going to need to hack that rocket launcher, and then we just need to move forwards. That's it. That's all. Should be able to do that using Bombardiers. Now I'm going to switch up to use Miss Everspark, as I mentioned, simply because that way we can hack that rocket launcher, not have to worry about barraging it or artillerying it. Let's get going. Less talking, more walking. We're going to drop Everspark on the left simply because the left is slightly closer than the right, and then we're going to flare that rocket launcher. Should be able to get there with one smoke if we're careful. And so that's all you really need. All you really need. Typically, I do this basically 9 times out of 10 on duality because it makes landing your troops that much easier, and that way you don't have to worry about the rocket launcher, and it's one fewer shocks. So typically speaking, using this strategy on duality, even when you're not using Rainmakers, is a good idea. Now, what we're going to do here, I am still trying to decide when and where we're going to use our Bombardiers. I kind of think that we should use them like right away. My only concern is that Miss Everspark went towards the right-hand side. I was hoping she would stay towards the left because that would have kept her alive a moment or two longer. We're going to mix some Bombardiers into the mix. That I'm not getting my... what are those things called? My metaphors or whatever the heck they're called. Very straight here. So using mix and mix, not recommended when you're trying to talk. I am terrible about that. I'll proofread my emails and then I'll send an email that has something like that where I've used the word mix 3 times in 2 sentences or something ridiculous. Drives me absolutely mental. I am one of those people who checks every single little bit about every email they send. Like perfect punctuation, perfect grammar, perfect this, that, and the other. So making mistakes like that can be incredibly frustrating. My boss is also like that, so that's where I get it from. If I don't do it perfectly, he's gonna catch on, and I've worked with him for many, many years, so at this point it's become second nature. So now what we need to do is back off into here, get one more shock out, and at this point we should be able to clear things up. As you see here, I am losing Bombardiers fairly quickly, but on the plus side, the Bombardiers definitely shoot so much faster than our Rainmakers do. So there are many, many advantages to having them out. Rainmakers have way further range, but on the flip side, they shoot incredibly slowly. Like there's been times where I've seen Rainmakers sitting there doing nothing, and I've thought maybe for some reason my game has glitched, but no, they just take like 6 seconds in between shots, which can be incredibly frustrating when you're sitting there and you don't have a ton of health on a building like that boom cannon there. So now, can we get the solo using the Rainmakers is the next question. Now, the problem here is that our Rainmakers are not going to stay targeting the core unless we force them to. So what we're going to do is bring them into the middle and see if we can't get them to get this beautiful solo. Come on, Rainmakers. Now this is where the Bombardiers are probably going to be the key clutch little bit. Yes, we only have 2 of them, but they're not going to forget what the heck is going on. So we've got Bombardiers, we've got Rainmakers. Now it's all about the race. So this seems like a fairly easy way to solo this base. If I would have boosted any sort of troop damage, we would basically be guaranteed a solo. But at this point, we're waiting for our Bombardiers. Just waiting for those 2 Bombardiers to keep chucking. Look how many times they're throwing compared to the Rainmakers. Obviously, the Rainmakers shoot way more bullets or mortars or whatever the heck you want to call those. But I don't think we're going to solo it. We're going to end it with some drama at least. As you see, our Rainmakers forget what the heck they're supposed to be doing. Get back on task, Rainmakers. Sadly, they decided to shoot to the right, which is probably going to take away the solo. I'm guessing we're not going to get this down. Look at that. So close. Nonetheless, still pretty happy with that attack. If you have any requests, look at that. We have like 0 health left. If they wouldn't have pointed right, we would have been able to take it down. Nonetheless, fairly decent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Obviously, there was no Mega Crab, but we did mix in every other aspect of the game, I think. If I've forgotten something, don't forget to remind me in the comments. As always, though, thanks for coming in, listening, commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing, even downvoting. Downvoting gives me an indication of how I'm doing, what things are like. Obviously, I'd prefer if you would comment. Nonetheless, as always, I'm zmoT. Thanks for coming in. Peace!